Hello, YouTube community. It's Robert S., and welcome back to RobScure Music, where I hope to introduce you or reacquaint you with lesser-known artists and or albums that are out there in the musical universe. So today, I wanted to talk to you about a country music singer named Shannon Brown. And Shannon was born in 1973, I think July 23rd, 1973. She grew up in Iowa. In 1997, I believe it was, she actually moved to Nashville to really pursue her country music career. And she signed with Arista, I believe it was, record label in Nashville, and she released a single called I Won't Lie. That was released in 1998, but her planned album that she was making at the time went unreleased. However, she did issue another single. It was called Half a Man, and that appeared on the soundtrack to the 1999 comedy film called Happy Texas. And unfortunately, nothing really came of it in terms of her career advancing. So in 2001, she moved to another record label and started producing songs for her second album, which unfortunately would also be unreleased. But that album produced two singles, much like her first album did. The first single she released was called Baby I Lied, and that was actually a cover of a Deborah Allen hit from 1983. And that did pretty well. It actually reached number 40 on the country music charts. And the second single was called Untangle My Heart, but it wasn't as popular in terms of reaching the charts as Baby I Lied, but I actually prefer that song to Baby I Lied because that was more in keeping with the music that she would release on her third album. And yes, I did say released. Finally, her third time's the charm. This album, Corn-Fed. Unfortunately, not only would this be her first album release, it's also her last. This was released in 2006. So the way this came about, this album, is that during some country music awards in 2004, she actually ran into an acquaintance from her time at one of her previous record labels. And that individual is John Rich. John Rich is a country singer who was formerly in the band Lone Star. You may also know him as half of the duo Big and Rich, where he was obviously the rich part of that, John Rich. And then Big Kenny was the big part, and that's William Kenneth Alphin is his real name. So they got together, and he actually co-wrote songs with her for this album. He produced the album, and when it was released, it actually went to number 34 on the country album charts. And the way that I became aware of her is actually a mini concert of sorts that she did in New York City, in Lower Manhattan specifically, and more specifically, right in front of the New York Stock Exchange building. She did the concert. I loved it, and I just had to have this album. And the album starts with, I'll show you the track listing here. You'll see the first thing says AM radio. And all that is really if you're familiar with it, old-fashioned, AM radio, you're turning the dials and it's sort of half coming in the stations and switching to different things. And as it's going from station to station, between the static, you hear some talking, you hear a little bit of some country music. There's actually a song called Satin Sheets by Martina McBride, whose recording engineer husband, John McBride, offered a snippet of the song because he was actually at the recording studio when they were doing this. So he offered that as part of this song, AM radio. But what it does is it eventually gets to news that's talking about, like, stock prices, or I should say more commodity prices. And they talk about the price of corn futures. And then it goes right into the second song, or I should say second track, first song, Corn Fed. And it starts out with her just simply sort of yelling, corn fed. And then she gets into this whole song about how she's, country born and raised, what it's like growing up in that type of environment. You don't lock your doors, everyone is friendly. It's just an absolutely fantastic song. Kicks off with, the drums and the guitars, fiddle, of course, got to get your fiddle in there. And, this is just, your friendly, girl next door singing about her life and living and growing up in the country. Then the second song is called Big Man. And again, I'll show you that track listing. And this is sort of a tongue-in-cheek look at, the type of men that usually try to hit on her and women like her, her friends. And when you realize that, she's got some sass, if you will, in this particular song. Again, she is the songwriter for many of these, or co-writer for many of these tracks. So there's a lot of Shannon in these songs. But it's kind of a clever song and, very enjoyable. High Horses is the next song on here, and that's basically a song written by John Rich. And, it's commentary on critics who, they weren't calling the new breed of country artists at that time country music, So he wrote that in response to these critics, basically saying, get off of your high horses, Shania Twain is as much country as anyone else, that type of thing. And then you've got a song called Turn to Me. And this is another John Rich song that basically saying, don't turn, in times of trouble, don't turn to alcohol to drown your sorrows or to try to, remedy the problems that you have in your life. When you have somebody there that you can turn to them, or in this case, turn to me. So next one, Can I Get an Amen? Another fun song. She did Corn Fed, and she did Can I Get an Amen at the stock exchange. She did a third, and for the life of me, I can't remember which one it was, but those two were real standouts. And Can I Get an Amen is sort of a gospel-inspired song, and it's basically about the feeling of getting out of an unhealthy relationship. And the banjo in this song really drives this whole chorus. And she's singing, can I get an amen? Can I get a witness? Tell me, are you with me? Or, if you hear this, let me get an amen. It's just a lot of fun to listen to. And again, I'll be playing some of these tracks later, so you'll hear it and judge for yourself. And then we have Something Good, another great track. And this is basically about, getting over the loss of, someone by remembering the good times that you shared in the past. Then you have Good Old Days. This is sort of a funky, I almost want to say disco-y type of feel to it. It's a good song. There's a song called Why, and this is a slower song. It introduces for the first time some violin, some strings, cello. It's basically saying, if you love them, if you love people, why hurt them? So, and then it ends with this song called Small Town Girl. And there she is, Small Town Girl. Shannon Brown. So let's take a listen to some of the music, and I'll see you on the other side.
AICD in Spencer, Iowa. On the Chicago Board of Trade today, corn futures did very little. Most contracts posting an arrow.
Corn-fed! We don't flip the bird, we don't cuss and scream when the cars don't move, when the light turns green. We don't lock our doors when we leave the house. There ain't nobody here that we keep out. That's the way we do it in our town, yeah. You never hear me apologize for growing up strong, growing up right, living life by the golden rule. Say yes, ma'am, thank you. Green fields for miles and miles, ain't nothing but country on the radio dial. I thank the good Lord I was born and bred corn-fed. Oh, it takes a big man. It takes a big, big man. It takes a really big man to love a little woman like me. Daddy Mac, lots of cash in his long Cadillac. Thinks he can have his way with anyone. Everybody knows that Shania ain't country, yeah. That's what they used to say about Johnny Cash. And Garth Brooks shouldn't be smashing those guitars, but 100 million records ain't bad. And all the girls say they wanna be like Dolly, pardon me, but I think it's Sheryl Crow. If you ask me, I say screw all the boundaries, 'cause it's all about whatever moves your soul. And I think it's about time we climbed off our high horses. Who's to say who's right or wrong? I think it's about time that we all get together, raise our glasses and sing along. Yeah. I've never seen you acting this way. It's like you just hit a wall. So put your keys back on the table, leave that bottle on the shelf. Please don't look for comfort somewhere else. If you're gonna turn to something, baby, just turn to me. I'm listening. You can tell me anything. I know you wanna find yourself an easy remedy, but if you're gonna turn to something, baby, just turn to me. It's a revelation, like being born again. Have you ever had that feeling where you wash away your sin, your soul is set free. Does anybody know what I mean? Can I get an amen? Can I get a witness? Tell me, are you with me? Holler if you hear this. Can I get an amen? Amen. There are moments that I am unable to breathe. The pain is strangling me. I shake my fists at the sky, then fall down on my knees, screaming, how can this be? And I think that I'd rather die than go on feeling so bad, so sad, so mad. Then I remember how I felt when you smiled. And I remember we had it all for a while. Just when I think I can't face one more day and go on the way I should, I remember something good. No, I never really had a time, but just like a man who'll treat me right, as long as they got a good heart, big or small, short or tall, I love them all. It's 3 a.m. and you finally say you're sorry for acting that way. You didn't really mean to make me cry. Oh, baby, sometimes I wonder why does it always have to come down to me leaving before you say I love you? Why do you always use the words that cut the deepest when you know how much it hurts me? Oh, baby, why do you do that to me? One look and you know what's coming. Storm cloud is moving in. Ain't no use in running. Just take it like a man. Say hi, hi, ho, ho. Oh Lord, what have you started? Cold front is setting in. Shelter, no, you can't find it. Judgment day is here again. Oh, you better find some cover. Ooh, when you hear that rumbling sound. Ooh, 'cause there ain't no warning. Oh, when your woman comes around. Yeah, she brings the thunder, she brings the lightning down. The straight line that you've been walking lately is wearing thin. You can't help but cross it. No, I won't run from the past that's given me wings. And if I had to choose between this and what's left of me, small town girl. Oh yeah. I'm proud to be a small town girl.
So that's it. Hope you enjoyed that. Again, Shannon Brown, Corn-Fed. I'm sure you can probably find this on eBay or Amazon if you're interested in this type of music. So, hope you enjoyed it. Stay well. And remember, if the music strikes a chord, let it play.